Well, what's going on, everybody? I am Matt Camp. We'll let everybody load in here as NXT is just finishing up, and we got a lot to get to on tonight's program, so let's get into it here. We'll see who's loading up for me. I think Mr. Evan Mack is ready to go. I think he's on the NXT account. And we're going to get ready to roll right here. Evan, are you there? NXT, are you there? There he is. All right, Evan.
What up, brother?
We did it without a problem. We flipped myself around, so we're good to go.
Easy peasy.
That's not till tomorrow. I can't show that yet because I got a feeling it's going to be a little bit of a busy one. Well, welcome in, everybody. NXT in the books. We'll get to it. Matt Camp and Evan Mack from WWE's The Bump. Good to be with you here. Evan, a very packed, a very busy, an NXT that had a lot going on, moving a lot of things forward in a very quick pace tonight, I noticed.
Jam-packed, man. Starting off with the Prince, man. I'm telling you right now, boy, he's on a roll, boy.
So we can let's get into that. I like to work backwards sometimes. We'll get into what just happened.
Yeah.
We saw Prince, Finn Balor. We saw him twice tonight. He's got something going on, which we've known about for quite some time, right? He's got this going on with Imperium. He went across the pond, went after Walter, Fabian Eichner, Marcel Bartel, you name it, Alexander Wolf. But it was Fabian Eichner tonight, and they had a heck of a match to open up things on NXT. And it was Finn Balor coming out on top. So, Evan, he took care of business there. And he will continue, as he was saying after the match, to come after Walter. But he also decided, well, Velveteen Dream, you're going to talk about the best NXT champion of all time. Yes, is Adam Cole, the longest reigning, yes, but Finn Balor took exception to that, Evan. And all of a sudden, we might have a date, apparently, of some kind. I think it's going to happen in the ring next Wednesday on NXT. Finn Balor against Velveteen Dream. I'm good with that, Evan. I'm sure you are as well.
Yeah, it should be a good match, but I'm telling you right now, Velveteen wants an escort. He wants a pickup. He wants Finn to pick him up. He wants him to pick him up, take him out, wine him and dine him, and then meet in the ring. You know what I mean? So it should be very, very interesting.
Don't do that. If you're Velveteen Dream, don't ask for that. It's not going to work. It's going to finish with a coup de grace, and you're going to go, I should not have gone on this date whatsoever. So,
Are you making an early prediction?
Yeah, I'm picking Finn Balor, okay? I think Velveteen Dream has done a lot of talking, and he's got to back it up, and he's gonna have his hands full. If he's going after Adam Cole, Evan, who is the NXT champion, the longest reigning NXT champion of all time, and in his mind, and maybe yours, the greatest NXT champion of all time, he should probably keep us focused on that, don't you think?
Yeah, and all of a sudden there's that guy named Finn Balor that you just can't overlook. He's kind of just hanging out, you know what I mean, at the Performance Center, just being like, hey, Velveteen, next Wednesday, you and I have let's have a little chit-chat.
Here's what I'll say about this. The one thing I'll say about Velveteen Dream in this situation is he might be doing, Evan, what we've been kind of asking for and what others have been asking for. He is trying to give Mr. Regal another reason to consider him to be Adam Cole's next opponent for that NXT championship, because I have not believed that he's earned that yet. If he could beat Finn Balor, Evan, I'll tell you right now, then he's done it. Then he's done it to me.
In all seriousness, when you've seen Adam Cole saying you've done nothing to deserve this title match, if he beats Velveteen Dream, Adam Cole is, and we know Adam Cole, he's honest, if not anything, and he knows what Finn Balor represents. So if he beats him,
right,
he'll cut another video being like, okay, you got your title match.
That's the thing. I don't want to call this a pseudo number one contendership match because it's not officially anything right now. We'll have to wait to hear from Mr. Regal, who we'll get to because he's made 2 straight appearances on WWE's The Bump. We'll get to what he did today that turned into a lot more at the end of the show. But I would have to think that he would take that if the match does happen and it is locked in for next week. If those two are facing off, Finn Balor and Velveteen Dream, to me, it could be a pseudo number one contendership match. That's just me looking at one of the best NXT champions of all time and someone who could be that far away, Evan, from an NXT championship opportunity.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that, and I know Walter's on his plate as well, but we have extenuating circumstances,
right?
And he's here right now. But how could he not be number one contender if Velveteen Dream is vying for the title,
right?
And Finn Balor beats him next week? How is Finn Balor not the number one contender?
And Finn Balor will be very happy while he's got Walter on the top of his thoughts right now. I don't think he'd mind if that ended up being another chance at Adam Cole's NXT championship. So we'll see about more of that. I do want to get into the NXT Cruiserweight Championship because Jordan Devlin, you talked about circumstances, and we had Mr. Regal announce this last week that we would be finding out that because Jordan Devlin is unable to defend that championship, there would be an interim tournament, a tournament to determine the interim Cruiserweight champion. And we found out over the last week that there would be two groups, A and B, and there would be a round-robin style tournament. I'll start right there. Evan, I hear that format. I get excited because it's not something we see very often in WWE.
Yeah, and I like round-robin. Like, it's cool to have, like, the one and done or you get beaten, you go home. But I like the round-robin. The round-robin it provides better matchups, different matchups. You're able to literally earn a different way into, like, into getting this championship.
Right.
And even so even if you lose, it's not the worst thing that could happen to you.
Well, we saw one match tonight get this tournament kicked off. It was in the B group, and it was Akira Tozawa defeating Isaiah Swerve Scott. So I didn't know when these matches were going to happen. I know 3 more matches were announced for next week, but we know that we know all the matches that are going to happen. So I jotted down a list. I picked this one, and I don't think many people did just because I'm thinking back to Tozawa. It was detailed on commentary by Byron and Tom tonight, how he was a former NXT Cruiserweight champion. One of my favorites, one of the most underrated guys out there, has been for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know if Swerve, I don't know what this was, Evan. He's a very confident guy. It's in his name. But I do wonder, did he maybe overlook Tozawa a little bit tonight?
Yeah, he might have. Swerve was my pick to win it all. Even he still is my pick to win it all. And Swerve was one of my favorite wrestlers, especially one of my favorite superstars coming up in the industry. And but Tozawa is a very accomplished wrestler. And yeah. Tozawa was very impressive. And going back to what I was saying a loss doesn't hurt you, but a win does help you, though. You winning your first match and being the first to go 1-0, that does help you.
So it's only 3 matches. That's the thing. This is not a massive field. This is four men in each group. That means you're only getting 3 matches. So a loss, while it doesn't put you away, it hurts because then there's tiebreakers that I would think will very likely, unless somebody goes undefeated, which is possible. Akira Tozawa needs 2 more of those wins. But I would think there's probably going to be a 2-1 record possibly happening in here, and a tiebreaker comes into account. So Tozawa got the win tonight, and he does now have that tiebreaker over Isaiah Swerve Scott. Now, on the other half of the B bracket, we're going to see next week, it is going to be Jack Gallagher against the debuting El Hijo de Fantasma. And, Evan, we saw a little bit about him tonight. I don't know if you know much about his career. This is a very accomplished worldwide superstar. But what an opportunity and what a spotlight to be on him making his debut with 3 matches away, 4 matches really, from potentially becoming the interim Cruiserweight champion in NXT.
Yeah, maybe the casual viewer is going to get a good look at Phantasma. There's nothing better than that rich history and that rich pedigree of the Lucha Libres, and you see that video he cut about his family line and his dedication and what he represents and what it means to him. And wouldn't that be something special if he just comes in, shocks the world, puts himself on the map for the people that don't know who he is.
Right.
Gets a victory, gets another victory, wins the Cruiserweight Championship, and we have an established Lucha Libre in this industry once more.
Well, let's flip over to the the A group, because we're going to see all 4 of those men involved next week in action. My pick to win this whole thing, because he's had some experience in these kind of tournaments before, Kushida taking on another former Cruiserweight champion in Tony Nese. Now, Evan, this is the second of the 2 former Cruiserweight champions that are in this tournament. I understand if you want to call Tony Nese the favorite of this matchup. I just happen to think that Kushida might be the best wrestler in the entire world. He's my favorite in-ring guy, other than maybe Cesaro. I'm just psyched that we get this match to start Group A.
That's high praise coming from you, especially. And I know how high you are on Kushida, and I don't like to overlook his first match. But what would you do if it's Kushida and Tozawa? You know what I mean? For the championship. Then where do you land there?
Man, I'll tell you what. I don't think that match has ever happened in their past. Both guys obviously making their names in Japan before coming to WWE. I'm okay with it. I don't really think because I have pretty good familiarity with all 8 of these men. We'll talk about another debut that's going to happen next week, or I should say another new face that we're going to see next week. But I don't know if there's a bad combination here, Evan, in any of the matches and in the final. And then, of course, you have Jordan Devlin waiting whenever that match can happen as well.
Irish Ace is like, don't forget about me now.
Oh,
Hold on now.
He ain't happy. He ain't happy that this is even going on. Now, to be fair, he would be facing the interim cruiserweight champion, the NXT interim cruiserweight champion. No one's saying that he's not the champ anymore. It's just that he can't defend it. He was not stripped of that championship. Now, the other Group A match that we're going to see next week, we just saw Jake Atlas recently on NXT. Very high praise. I don't know, Evan, if you know him from your time out on the West Coast. He really made his name out there in recent years.
Yes.
And the buzz this guy had when he was signed to WWE and signed to NXT, you could not ignore it because of the praise that he was getting from some pretty high names within WWE. So I'm excited to see him get this big opportunity next week.
Yeah, definitely the people that it would talk to when I would talk to people from Santino or Bar Wrestling or things like that, his name would come up. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where it's really cool to see this kind of talent, man. As much as you know about that kind of stuff and your experiences with the wrestlers that you've covered and you've called, and you get to see them move to this moment. And he's one of these up and comers, man. I'm telling you, him and Austin Theory, these young cats, man. Looking pretty good, brother.
Yeah, there's we kind of talked about how after WrestleMania there's been this reset button of sorts, a new season, if you will, and I feel like that always happens this time of year. But you mentioned Austin Theory and how quickly he has ascended from NXT and then ending up all the way ascending to a Raw Tag Team title match at WrestleMania. Now you see him with Andrade and Angel Garza and the great Zelina Vega. You got to think that all these other people like Jake Atlas are seeing that going, that could be me. I expect that to be me. Look at the opportunities that are available to me. Now, I say opportunities because there's a very passionate man that Jake Atlas is going to be wrestling next week. He is the former general manager of 205 Live, Drake Maverick. This is what he is. If you did not see his Instagram, his Twitter today, he put it all out there for you. He is saying this is my last chance. This is what this is to me. I'm going to leave it all out there for you, and when it's all over, maybe that's it. Maybe these are my last 3 matches. I got emotional watching it, Evan. I know a lot of people did. There was a lot of reaction to that today, but he's going to be in this tournament. After everything that happened with him today, he is going to be in this tournament, and dare I say, he is the sentimental favorite.
Yeah, and it's tough to look like this. One of the nicest guys in the business. And you know him quite well. I've had a short time knowing him. One of the most respectful guys. But one of the best parts about him, though, Matt, is his honesty and his openness and how candid he is and how direct he is about his feelings and his emotions. And sentimental favor is a great term, but he's also a hell of a wrestler.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's going to be good to see. If it's a swan song, it's a swan song. But one of the best in the business, man. So it would be great to see him in the ring.
Really looking forward to that. So next week we'll have the other half of Group B making their first matches happen. El Hijo de Fantasma against Jack Gallagher. And we'll see both of the first Group A matches in Kushida against Tony Nese and Drake Maverick against Jake Atlas. So love the format, love the tournament. Let's see what you guys say in the comments section. Who do you think is winning Group A? Who do you think is winning Group B? Give us a name for each. Really looking forward to what you guys have to say. Now, we also saw tonight an attempt, I think, Evan, at some retribution on behalf of Tegan Nox. She took on Raquel Gonzalez. We saw Dakota Kai out there. No surprise. But somewhat surprisingly to me was the arrival of Shotzi Blackheart to kind of even the odds. And it ended up with all the distractions and hoopla going on, and the helmet was involved. Of course, Dakota Kai got involved first, bringing out Shotzi Blackheart. But Tegan Nox got the victory, and that is going to set up now, which is official, a tag team match for next week on NXT with Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox taking on Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. So very interesting that has happened so quickly. I just have to wonder, and Tegan Nox is a wonderful, nice, heck of a competitor. I mean, you got to be thinking twice about anybody that's on your side right now after what went down with her best friend Dakota Kai over the last 5-6 months.
Yeah, like how do you not have trust issues though? How do you not be like, okay, it's cool, but all right, let me let me just do what I can do, and let me have a team as much as I can have a team, or a partner as
Right.
much as I can for as long as it lasts. But let me also look behind my back and just stay away from cage doors and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And just
Well,
never the tweet y'all meet.
you got to wonder, as part of her just saying, I need it. I need help.
Yes.
I'm going
Yes.
against a monster, an unbelievably impressive individual, Raquel Gonzalez, and Dakota Kai, who, while Tegan Knox may hate her, she knows how good she is.
knows.
She needs some backup, because so far things have not worked out well for Dakota Kai. For Tegan Knox taking on these two on her own.
So true. And it's really cool to see, though. Like, I don't know when this is going to come to a head. It's like a little mini version right now of Tommaso, man. Tommaso and Gargano. It's budding and it's brewing to be something. I'm telling you, man. I think they're just getting started, to be honest.
Let's jump into that here, because Johnny Gargano tweeted out earlier today, wanted to see what Tommaso Ciampa was going to say. So at the end of the show, I don't know where Ciampa was. He's clearly trying to figure things out in his career, but he did say Johnny Gargano is the better man. He said it, and I applaud him for that. I'm not giving him the big Tommaso on the apron clap. I applaud him because that was big of him to say, except mere seconds after that came out of his mouth, he was attacked. We heard the TikTok. I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know. I know there's thoughts of who this person is. I don't know if this person has revealed himself officially. So, if you looked at the end of the show last week, Evan, we saw Johnny and Candace walk by that car. It was featured. We saw it at the top of the show tonight. Whoever these people are, whoever they're going to reveal themselves to be, their motivations to be, I'm not sure. Maybe it was Tommaso Ciampa, wrong place, wrong time, Evan, or maybe whoever this is officially going to be, whatever the reveal ends up being, if he ever says anything more than TikTok, maybe he's saying, I'm going to go after one of the best NXT performers of all time.
And with that being said, in typical Tommaso fashion, did you expect anything else for him to be just admit that someone was the better man? Did you expect anything else, though? I think when he, after that match, win, lose, or draw, if he lost, I think he was always going to be like the better man won. Despite how they won, I think he would give hats off. With that being said, I think they see somebody wounded, a wounded Tommaso right now. So yes. I think they chose this moment because last week he went through hell, and this is the perfect time to pounce on him. So they think, but I wouldn't advise doing it, but yeah. But I'm not.
I've never seen a patent leather boot look so dangerous as it was next to Tommaso Ciampa's head.
Close up on the patent leather, baby.
I'll tell you what. Maybe this was what Tommaso Ciampa needed to refocus himself on whatever's going to be next, because he conceded the win to Johnny Gargano.
That's it.
Johnny will move on. I don't know where it's going to happen for him. I had said today on the bump, I think Johnny's got to be thinking championships once again. Gold has got to be back in his future. But it seems like Tommaso has his work cut out for him. Whatever's next for him, apparently, knocked him out at the end of NXT tonight. So we know that's where that's going. Now, on WWE's The Bump today, if you didn't see it, Mr. Regal joined us for the second week in a row. He is a man who follows up on his declarations and promises. He told us last week, I will have an update on the NXT Tag Team Championship situation. The more I think about it, when I figure out. He joined us again today, and he said, here's the deal. I'm going to let the Broserweights remain the NXT Tag Team Champions. But because Pete Dunne is unable to defend along with Matt Riddle, they have to pick a new partner to defend with Matt Riddle. And, oh, by the way, they got to figure out who the heck that is. He said, I think they have to get on their skates, which I love that term. But they have to do it because they have the Undisputed Era tonight. And, Evan, who is it but Timothy Thatcher, who gets to debut as an NXT champion, tag team champion, and, oh, by the way, successfully defend those tag team titles?
I'm telling you right now, man, that's one of the first times I was actually not as sure the Undisputed Era was going to win. I was like, they might be in trouble tonight.
And they were.
I was like, wait a second. This dude, he wouldn't do the fist bump. He wouldn't do the fist bump in the beginning. He wouldn't do the fist bump at the end. He wouldn't do any of the bro stuff. He came in and just beat the brakes off of people and won.
Dare I say, and this is, I'm making a bit of a leap here, that Pete Dunne may have more of an outgoing personality than Timothy Thatcher.
And that's crazy to think, but I think I'm like, goodness gracious, man. he is like he was cutting like dude, I don't even know what to say.
He is cut from a different era. I feel like he would fit back in like the 1950s, but he also gets dropped into right now on NXT. And you put him with Matt Riddle, who, for all his fun and his personality and his charisma, is a very dangerous man when he gets in that ring, which is why he's one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions. But Timothy Thatcher and Matt Riddle on the same side is bad news for everybody, as Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly found out tonight.
I'm getting this weird vibe. I hope it doesn't happen if it's like some weird, like angry, like New Day thing where it's like those three guys and they're like defending again. That would be terrifying, man.
What would we? I'm trying to think. We just I don't want to say New Day because it's not a day. I don't want to put. I don't know. That's the thing. If this is is there a new name for the Broserweights? Is there?
It's a problem.
It's a problem. That might just be it. The problem weights might just be the name going forward.
I swear, man.
Tim Thatcher is locked in. And you know what's interesting is that Pete Dunne made this call. He kept it from Matt Riddle, which is kind of funny. And there's Pete Dunne, just messing with his bro for once. But he's like, oh, by the way, here's your new partner when he walks out, and then they win. So a couple of things there. First of all, they beat Undisputed Era, who is arguably the best tag team in NXT history.
Better believe it.
That's number one. Number two, Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher main eventing NXT for the first time ever together, and they win. And they set the bar as a team, even though they're already the champs, but for the first time them tagging, they set the bar extremely high tonight.
Yeah, and guys, anybody out there that thinks that Matt Riddle is like right for the taking, the tag team player is right for the taking, I think that went out the window this evening. I don't think anyone's going to be quick to challenge them for those titles.
Well.
Unless
actually,
who are you thinking about?
Well, right before that match began, shortly before that, my great friend, Malcolm Bivens.
Segue, baby.
Who, by the way, did kind of appear on the bump today, even though he, interrupted Mackenzie Mitchell. But that's neither here nor there. I know I'm going to take the fun and games away because I don't think they're there right now with him. That is the most serious I have seen Malcolm Bivens in forever.
Bro.
Had a lot of fun with him over the last few months. On Twitter, it always happens. But the shot of him with Indu Sher, it was terrifying. And he is locked in, and those two guys, I don't know if they're necessarily in line for a tag team championship opportunity, but that was a serious man leading two massive human beings, which is what I think you're going to need to take on Timothy Thatcher and Matt Riddle.
Well, anybody that quotes one of my favorite R&B singers of all time, Johnny Gill, anybody that quotes that, he's all right. He's A-okay in my book. Malcolm Bivens is locked in, and I know why he's locked in. It's not like this. This is the moment that he's been preparing for a long time. That's number one. But number two, he sees who's behind him. He knows who's behind him, and he's like, yeah, this tag team is a problem. And we're talking about NXT, SmackDown, Raw, wherever, NXT UK. He knows he can take those guys on the road. He can take his show on the road.
I'll say this. I don't think it's going to be pretty. That's not what these guys are about. They're going to beat you up. They're going to try to beat you up quickly and get the hell out of there. That's what they want to do. They ain't getting paid by the hour. Let's keep it moving here. That's how it's going to work with these guys. So we'll see. We've only seen a little bit of them so far, but when they debuted, they attacked Matt Riddle. So I don't think those tag team championships are too far out of their sight, as Malcolm mentioned. So watch out there. I also want to note that we did see Dexter Lumis once again victorious
in the shadows.
Then in the shadows during the main event, and I don't even know what that means because I don't think he acts with any help. He seems to be a very solo individual.
I'm like, but Dexter, do you need a partner? Do you need he's a rogue agent, man. He's rogue, man. He's rogue, and it's like, I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know his motivation. I do know he wants to win. I know he likes to win.
Yeah, in a very different way. By the way, I'm not saying this because I'm afraid of him. That theme song is tremendous. His theme song is scary as hell. It's
impressive spine buster, too. I like the spine buster.
Yes. So watch out for him. And, of course, learned a little bit more about Keith Lee's whole story tonight, which is really cool. Nice. And it was great to hear him talk about that. 13 years from when he jumped into the professional wrestling world to get to NXT. I mean, I remember watching him in tag team matches and in other places where he was overlooked, like the way he said it. Oh, you don't wrestle the right way for your side. Get out of here with all that stuff. You know what works? What's working for him right now, because he's got that North American title over his shoulder. I know he's got a lot of people gunning for him, as he should. Yeah. But Keith Lee has been through a lot, and that has prepared him for this opportunity. And I hope a lot more people can appreciate Keith Lee's career after what they saw from him last night.
Yeah, he's adding to the prestige of that title. Stories like that, sacrifices like that, getting into the mindset of why he is the way he is and the demeanor that he has and the things that he had to sacrifice to get to the point that he's at. It just goes to show you he's one of the greatest superstars that we have right now. And just to hear that the struggle leading up to his success just makes him all more intriguing to watch.
Well, I want you guys to check us out on WWE's The Bump every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern. You can go back and watch past episodes, including today. Big Show, Christian, Otis, and Mandy. It was a loaded-up show. Go back. You can check it all out. And also subscribe to the podcast. You'll hear the show each and every week, the biggest highlights from the episodes. I even take you a little bit behind the scenes about each and every guest. So go subscribe to that. Apple Podcasts. Search for WW The Bump on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. Evan, you're back with Mackenzie on Friday night after SmackDown, I believe.
Yeah, Mackenzie, man, she's doing all the stories, breaking all the stories, getting all the interviews. She's killing it.
By the way, if you didn't see it, she interviewed Io Shirai, and it was on today's episode of WWE The Bump about her winning the ladder match, becoming the #1 contender to Charlotte Flair's NXT championship, women's championship. And she's ready. She wants that match. One more thing that we didn't touch on, Charlotte Flair might be, and I say this not lightly, as confident as she has ever been in her entire career. And she's coming, I don't want to say back to NXT, but she's now on top of NXT once again with the NXT Women's Championship, and she went through the entire division. I did notice she put a bit of a spotlight on one Mia Yim.
You know what's really interesting, man? That might be crazy. I've seen them all, but that might be the best I've ever heard her, ever.
Agreed. There's a confidence that's different.
Yeah. And if she does run through this division, there will be no doubt. I'm not talking about conjecture or hyperbole. She will be the greatest NXT champion, man or woman, of all time. If she runs through that roster and she beats everybody, she takes on all comers, there will be no doubt left in my mind.
I mean, just think about what we saw last week in that ladder match. That says enough right there for Io Shirai to come out on top of that, and then to still think of all the other names that were involved. So really looking forward to seeing more of Charlotte getting all these brand new matchups on NXT. Of course, Io Shirai is that next contender to the NXT Women's Championship. Well, that's going to do it for us. Like I said, make sure you catch it on The Bump, WWE's The Bump, every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Go back and watch past episodes. We got 30 of them already in the books, by the way. Next week's guest already announced. Triple H is joining us next week on WWE's The Bump. So make sure you check that out. Catch Evan and Mackenzie Mitchell Friday night after SmackDown right here on Instagram. Evan, always a pleasure, buddy.
Pleasure's all mine, brother.
All right, good luck to everybody watching everything going on. Good luck, I should say, in your pick'ems for the NXT Interim Cruiserweight Tournament. 3 matches coming your way next week to finish out the first set of matches there. And, of course, plenty more coming your way from us. For Evan Mack, I'm Matt Camp. Thanks, and good night, everybody.
Good night, brother.